Guys! So I have recently been in my book talk booktube era, and I've been reading a lot of books recently. So I thought I would tell you my May monthly wrap up and then my June TBR, which is to be read. So let's get started. The first book I read this month was Archer's Voice by Mia Sheardon. And I read this as an ebook, so I don't have the physical copy. So I'll just hold up the cover on my iPad. Archer's Voice by Mia Sheardon, I gave a 4 stars. It's just a fun, summer read. It's a romance, small town kind of read. It's very fun because it's it all. You know when those movies, I grew up on Hallmark Channel, when everything takes place in the little local diner, and that's very much this book. Everything just takes place, a lot of key events happen at their local diner, and this girl moves to town because she has a dark past, and she just wants to have some fun. So she moves to town, works at the diner, and meets this boy who kind of it's not necessarily a mystery, but he is kind of the key to the future of the town. And he is mute. And luckily, just so happens, she is the only girl who knows sign language. And so they meet and they fall in love. Spoiler alert. I apologize. And yeah, that's Archer's Voice. Get it? Because he doesn't have a voice. Anyways. The second book I read this month was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. And I read Six of Crows the month before. And then this was just me finishing that series up. I've been wanting to read Six of Crows for a really long time, and then I never got around to it. And then when season 2 of Shadow and Bone came out, I was like, okay, perfect time to read these books. Personally, I didn't read the Shadow and Bone books, but I didn't have to because I watched the show. So I would recommend to just skip the Shadow and Bone books and read Six of Crows. And if you need background information, just watch Shadow and Bone. You probably only need to watch the first episode to kind of understand the fantasy elements to it. Anyways, back to the actual book. This book I gave 4.5 stars. I have been trying to figure out why I wasn't so deeply connected to these characters as much as a lot of people said they were. And I think the reason I figured it out is because it's written in third person. I gave Crooked Kingdom and Six of Crows both 4.5 stars. And personally, I think I liked, the first Six of Crows had a very strong storyline about what was going to happen, while this one was a little bit more of the unknown and a little bit more chaotic. And yeah, and I liked both of those aspects, just in different ways. Anyways, yes, 4.5 stars to Crooked Kingdom. And then I actually do own the next book I read, which was Happy Place by Emily Henry. Is it gonna? Yes, Happy Place by Emily Henry. I absolutely adored this book. This was a 5 stars, so my first 5 star of the month, and my only 5 star. Actually, I take that back. Nope. My first 5-star read of the month, and this was my first ever Emily Henry book. I actually was planning on reading Beach Read, and then Happy Place came out, and everyone was talking about it, and I was like, I want to be in the moment. You know, there's something, I guess it's FOMO, where it's if everyone's talking about a book, I'm not going to go read Beach Read that not everyone's talking about, when I can read Happy Place and I can be involved in the community, and then I can have my say. Emily Henry, Happy Place. If you're wondering what this book is about a group of friends that go to a beach house every summer for a week, and this is the final time that they can go to the beach house together. And they're all entering 30, and so it's all just about like having to be an adult, having responsibilities, trying to grow up and like be mature. Now that like they all have lives, they're trying to see how they can still stay connected. And then the main character, Harriet, and her fiance are like, they broke up and now they're trying to like fake date because they don't want to ruin the final trip. Yeah, so I really liked the friendship aspect, I really liked the romance aspect, and I really liked that it's still a bit of like a self-discovery, a bit of like a coming of age story, except that they're 30, which I think is really interesting because most coming of age stories are about teenagers, but it's like life is so much more than being a teenager. Anyways, yes, so Happy Place, 5 stars. I'm really happy I bought the book for this one. Next book I read was Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Now, this book I actually also did buy, but I got it for my friend for her birthday. Why did I question that? Yeah, I bought it for her birthday. So, this book is about a coffee shop in Japan. I've already said that. And it's about time travel. So basically in this book, you can time travel at this coffee shop. And it's like 5 different like short stories all compiled into one book, but they all like connect. So it kind of just flows like a novel, but they're each story there's a new main character. Yeah, and they all connect together. And the thing about this book is that it was beautiful, but each story was like 60 pages, and so it was very sad. And so every single 60 pages, I was sobbing my eyes out. And I was like, I can't, like, it was just hard to read. It's only 200 pages, but it was hard to read because it was like, you didn't have any time between grieving. Like, you'd be like, boom, pain, boom, pain, boom, pain, boom, pain, you know? And it got to a point where I was just kind of exhausted by the end of the book, because you connect with these characters and then you get completely destroyed by them in 60 pages, and then you do it again, and I was just really exhausted from the emotional whiplash of it all. And so for that, I gave it 3 stars. But if you're really into being in pain, I think you would like it. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and it was a fun concept. And it was very easy to understand. You know, I'm not a big time travel multiverse person, but this one was really easy to comprehend. So, yeah, but I gave it 3 stars because it just wasn't for me, I don't think. It was a little too devastating for me. The final book I read this month was also an ebook, and it was The Cruel Prince. Now, this was a reread because I'm about to get The Stolen Heir from the library. I'm actually going to pick it up once I finish filming this video. But yeah, so The Stolen Heir was a reread, and this is a 5-star. I love this series. I absolutely love Holly Black, and this was the first ever fantasy read I've ever read. If you don't know what this book is about, it's a trilogy by Holly Black, and it stars the main character's name is Jude, and Jude is a mortal, but she lives in this like fairyland with fairies, and it's all about her rise to power in this fairy world as a mortal, and mortals are like human. I love saying mortal, like that's what they say in the book. She's a human. It was just, yeah, it's really fun. It was really fun for me. It was really interesting, and I really liked the like politics of it all and the kind of like mystery element, and like I was shocked. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I remember being like so I'm currently rereading this series before I read The Stolen Heir. And yeah, those were all the books I read in May. So let's talk about my June TBR. So I read 5 books in May, and I'm just going to give 5 books as my June TBR. These are going to be a bit of like an honorable mention because I'm currently rereading The Cruel Prince, but I'm not necessarily going to count them because they're going to be like honorable mentions. So I guess I'll do like 7 books this month. So Wicked King. I'm already halfway through this one. And this is just a continuation of The Cruel Prince. And then we have The Queen of Nothing, which is the 3rd book. And so, yeah, that will be another one I'll read. But again, it's just an honorable mention. Okay, the first on my actual list of this month's TBR, June's TBR, is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This is a spin-off. That's the word I was looking for. It's a spin-off. It's a spin-off from the Cruel Prince series, and it is about like 2 characters that were children in the Cruel Prince, but are now like teenagers now. And so it's kind of their story. And I don't really know much about what this is about, but it stars them 2, and it's about them doing something. I don't know. I'll let you know at the end of June what it's about. But yeah, so that is my first book of the month. The next book is, I'm actually already partly done with this book. And this is Solitaire by Alice Oseman. And I actually listened to this book as an audiobook last year, but then this year, Alice Oseman has been re-releasing their books with new covers and like updating them. So I bought the like updated version with the fancy cover. Yeah, so this is Solitaire. And if you've read Heartstopper, you know about Heartstopper, if you've seen the show. This is Tori, and Tori is Charlie's older sister, and she makes an appearance in the Heartstopper universe. But this was actually Alice Oseman's first ever novel, and they released this at 19 years old. Crazy. But so Heartstopper is actually a spin-off or a prequel of this book, because this book takes place a year after, 2 years after Heartstopper takes place. So this is about Tori, who is a bit of a pessimist, and she's a wee bit depressed, and it's about her teen years in high school. And this specifically, Solitaire, is about, there's a blog, and this blog is going around and like pulling pranks on the school, and it's a bit of a mystery about what's going on, and everyone's interested. And Tori's not really interested, or she claims she's not, but she kind of somehow gets thrown into the mix of Solitaire and has to kind of figure out who runs Solitaire and what their end goal is. Yeah, so I'm already partway through, which is why I feel that I can probably read 7 technically. Next on my TBR is The Summer I Turned Pretty. It's kind of like the window reflects, but that is this book, The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. Now, I'm actually currently listening to this book as an audiobook, and because I actually wasn't very interested in reading these books because people kind of say that they're not as good as the show. But I found an audiobook on YouTube for free, and it has the actual actors from The Summer I Turned Pretty reading them, and I thought that was really fun. And I thought it'd be a bit of a refresher because season 2 of The Summer I Turned Pretty is coming out in July. And so I was like, oh, let me listen to the audiobook. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I've been wanting to read this book for a hot minute now. After I read Daisy Jones and the Six, which I read a couple months ago and I absolutely loved, I was like, I need to read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo because this is just, I want to read all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's like famous series, and I was like, I gotta start back at the beginning. And this is, I actually do have this book. It was Book of the Month. Last month they had this thing where it was like, you can get it for $5. And I was like, okay, slay. I want a book for $5, like a hardcover, beautiful book like this for $5. And I've been wanting to read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for a long time. So I was like, perfect opportunity. So, what is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo about? It is about this actress named Evelyn Hugo from the 1960s, and I believe just the story of her life, how she became famous, and why she had 7 husbands. And I believe it's like some other girl is writing her biography, and she's like out of nowhere like, I'm gonna tell my story now. And everyone's like, why now? What is she telling? And why this author to tell it? You know, so it's kind of like that. And I just love like 1960s Hollywood. That this is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. And I got this book with my mom for Mother's Day because we went to Barnes & Noble and I was like, buy one, get one, 50% off. And I was like, fine, I'll get this one. I've been wanting to read this one for a while as well. And I was in my romance era at the time. So I was like, okay, I'll pick this cute little rom-com book up. And this is about Macy and Elliot, and it's like a second chance romance, and they were friends when they were kids, or they fell in love when they were they were friends when they were kids and fell in love in high school, and then something happens and they break up, I guess, and then 10 years later they meet again, but main character Macy is engaged, so conflict. Anyways, I thought it was really cute. Everyone says it's really cute, and that like Love in Other Words, they read books together, which is fun. So yeah, that is all for my May monthly wrap up and my June TBR. I hope you enjoyed. And if you are a reader too and want to follow me, I will have my Goodreads linked in the description because I love Goodreads. If you would want to follow me on there, I'll have it linked down below. And I hope you enjoyed. Bye!